If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free 99. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. Want to be heard on major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts? You sure can. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download that free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Welcome to Custom Made in New York podcast, reminding women of their worth 1 week at a time. This show is dedicated to all women, custom made especially to win. I'm your host, Raven Joseph. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Today our episode number 12 is going to be about grief. So today I just want to start off by saying happy birthday to my nephew. He was born this morning. So congrats to my sister and brother. I got a good morning text that had a picture of a beautiful baby boy. So I'm just so happy that he is healthy and whole. So I'm excited to meet him within the next couple of months, hopefully soon. It's definitely something to look forward to. I was really happy. I know I told you last week that I'd not really been tuning into the news, because I just feel like there's not much positive that is being said. And I'm a part of several different group chats, so if there's something that I need to know, it's probably going to be talked about in a group chat. So I'm able to tune it out, and then I get the notifications from the city of like social distancing. They repeat themselves like every 30 minutes. But I have been trying to avoid social media, and I was so excited to share that my nephew was there, and I was hanging out on Instagram today, and I saw that one of my schoolmates' father passed away, and I was just like, so saddened by that. Like my whole happy state just like went from 1,000 to like 0 that fast. And last night I had woke up in the middle of the night, and I looked, and I usually don't even sleep with my phone by me. I actually use my like to leave my phone in another room just so I can sleep. So if I wake up in the middle of the night, rather than me scroll and stay up for the whole night, I'll usually just go back to sleep. But today I decided to check my chat, and one of my colleagues from grad school shared that she lost 3 people in one day, and I just broke down. I was just like, that's so hard, and I know that grief is a natural loss, so anyway we react to those losses is natural, our body's reaction, because I felt like it wasn't natural, and she's telling me it's okay. So that's something I learned. So I was no longer feeling guilty about crying. I was no longer feeling guilty about being sad or not wanting to socialize, or wanting to be by myself and isolate myself. It was just a process. So other forms of grief that showed up is like any forms of a loss in a relationship. So it could be your friend, best friend, it could be a divorce, also financially, if there's a loss that can make you depressed. I remember my job last year, and I think I talked about this before on my YouTube channel, like when I switched jobs from charter to DOE, I was depressed for 6 months. I was so sad. I missed all my students. My partner at the time had to encourage me to help me figure it out, because this is what I prayed for, but still losing those friendships, and literally I had friends at my old job. I'm not with friends and family at my old job, especially my students. I had been there for, was it 4 years? 5 years? Almost 5 years. And so it was hard to transition. I hated my new job. So that was me grieving, but I'm over it now because I still see my friends and my family from my old job all the time. So, but my students, I still keep in contact with them too, even though I don't get to see them every day. But yeah, building those relationships, it's hard to have to let them go, for me at least. So seeing that that's a form of grieving, or even disabilities, like if you're used to being whole and something happens that changes your health, you can grieve that. Like when you're fighting so hard for something that you want in your life and you don't achieve it, that's a form of, you can grieve that. Like you may not have a physical reaction of it, but and that's okay, but like even just the way you address it is always going to be there are so many forms of grief, including a loss. It could be of a friend, a divorce, also financially, if there's a loss, that can make you depressed. I remember my job last year, and I think I talked about this before on my YouTube channel. Like when I switched jobs from charter to DOE, like I was depressed for 6 months. I was so sad. I missed all my students. My partner at the time like had to encourage me to help me like figure it out, because I mean, this is what I prayed for, but still losing those friendships. And like literally I had friends at my old job. Like I'm not with the, so no, friends and family at my old job, especially my students. I had been there for, was it 4 years? 5 years? Almost 5 years. And so it was hard to transition. I hated my new job. So like that was me grieving, but I'm over it now because I still see my friends and my family from my old job all the time. So, but my students, I still keep in contact with them too, even though I don't get to see them every day. But yeah, building those relationships, it's hard to have to let them go, for me at least. So seeing that that's a form of grieving, like, or even disabilities, like if you're used to being whole and something happens that changes your health, you can grieve that. Like when you're fighting so hard for something that you want in your life and you don't achieve it, that's a form of, you can grieve that. Like you may not have a physical reaction of it, and that's okay. So the way you respond to grief, it could be through anger, being confused, sometimes being depressed or disappointed or physically exhausted or anxious or feeling guilty, hopeless, lonely, regret, disbelief. Those are all natural feelings of grief. I remember when I visited my mentor in grad school, and she told me that her mom had also passed away, and she told me it took her 7 years to like finally stop grieving. So in my head I'm like, okay, I don't know why I compared her loss to my loss, but I was just like, all right, so this feeling won't be forever. And so recently I realized I was still grieving, not so emotional every day, all day, but like I was still grieving my mom. So I went and asked my therapist about that. I'm like, is it healthy that, I still miss her all the time and stuff like that? Like, and because I had this in my head that after 7 years, like you're going to be straight, like you're not going to have those emotions or feelings physically, emotionally. And she was just like, no. So again, like the process is what you make of it. However, if you're grieving like 20 years, you may need to find support to get you through that process. So it's totally healthy, to grieve and just to feel and to allow yourself to feel. I'm the type of person, like I always want to seem strong. So yeah, the tears and stuff, I'm like, yeah, this can't, like I don't want this to happen. It makes me feel so weak. But, and we say this about men too, like men don't cry because it's a form of, it's seen or perceived as a form of weakness. But I feel like I shouldn't be crying because it makes me look weak. But sometimes you just need to let it all out, because bottling it up, it only makes it worse. My mom's funeral was on a Saturday, and that very Wednesday I was at the temp agency looking for a job. I had just graduated grad school in February of that year. My mom passed in March, and a couple of days later I was looking for a job, and I got the job and I worked there, and I was just working hard. Got the job and I worked there, and I was just working hard, hanging out with friends. and I was fine. And then one day in the summertime, nobody was home, and like my mom was my best friend. So like every time I would come home, I would have somebody to talk to, share my stresses with. She would cook, especially when I was in grad school. I appreciated her so much when she used to make me meals. Like I would come home late from the library exhausted, and I would have a home cooked meal that's so great. In the summertime, a couple of months, I thought I was fine. A couple of months later, and somebody had told me, was like, you don't want to take time? Take time for what? Like, I need to make this money. We have bills to pay, so like it's not an option. And one time I came home in the summertime and like literally just broke down like hard. When I say hard, like it's crazy the how I had put it to the side, the feeling like she's not here to talk to right now, and this is when I need her right now. It wasn't even an emergency. It was just the norm, coming home and speaking to her and not having her there was just like becoming a reality. I think I was in denial for some time, and then having to deal with that for a long time, for years. Actually, I was really lost because my mom was my rock and my guide. She would never, I feel like she never steered me in the wrong direction. I can't think of a time where I was like, damn, Ma, like you gave me this advice and you were dead wrong, like, so, so that experience, like what I was saying, is just like putting yourself, not allowing yourself to feel. Eventually it's going to come out in other areas of your life. And so it's really important that you take the time to grieve. And doing that doesn't mean that you have to like go out and see a therapist or join a support group. It is helping the process, but some people can experience grief and process it on their own, especially with family, friends, and also having healthier habits. According to the American Psychology Association, I just want to share a couple of ways to help your healthy ways to help with grief. One is to actually talk about death. I don't think I really even talk about loss with people often. I often keep it to myself. When people ask me if I'm okay, I'm like, I'm fine. I don't really feel like talking about it, but it does help to talk about it. Like even now, I'm saying things, and you're probably like, "Oh, you're getting too personal, girl." But I'm cool. I'm okay, and it feels good to talk about it. So just talking about what your situation is, whether it's a change of jobs, your finances, or like anything that is stressing you and causing you to feel these emotions of anger, frustration, and everything like that because of this loss, it's always, or death, it's always important like to talk to people about it, about your feelings, and then not trying to deny your feelings, but accept, take care of yourself. Like even when I was feeling very low with the breakup of my last partner, I still got up and got dressed. Like it made me feel better. And especially when I went to work, I didn't want to be sat around my students. So I made sure like I got up a little bit earlier, put a little bit of makeup on. Like I usually don't even wear makeup to work, but I just needed to feel better. So like I would pamper myself, take baths, bubble baths, and things like that, just so I could feel okay. And so it made me feel better. And especially when I went to work, I didn't want to be sat around my students. So I made sure like I got up a little bit earlier, put a little bit of makeup on. Like I usually don't even wear makeup to work, but I just needed to feel better. So like I would pamper myself, take baths, bubble baths, and things like that, just so I could feel okay. And so like it's really important to take care of yourself and take care of other people too, like your family members. And I think that sometimes like people don't cry because they feel like they're not going to be able to stop when they start. And so that's why I go revert back to like talking to somebody so that they understand how you're feeling and like maybe can support you more in when you're feeling this way, or during this process you have at least one person to talk to about it that can understand your feelings, not judge you, and just be patient with you and listen. Also, I'm gonna add this in. Um, for me, one thing that's helped me to like deal with grief is to follow my routine. So I don't want to be the couch potato, right? I don't want to do that because then it's hard for me to get back up. So if I have a routine, like my morning, I do have a morning routine that I like to say my morning prayers and stuff like that. So just making sure that I'm getting up at the time, that just being so isolated that I'm consuming myself with negativity. So also exercising, eating better foods, and making sure that your family members do the same can actually help. Also, exercising, eating better foods, and making sure that your family members do the same can actually help you and push you and encourage you to do the same, because grief can take a physical toll on you. And I know all of us have had that experience where we can't get out of bed, like we're so sad, like, so just trying to move yourself, or doing the 5 4 3 2 1 rule that I spoke about in one of my previous episodes, like counting, like literally counting down, like, all right, I do this now, but just saying, like, if you're on the couch or you're in bed and you don't want to get up, like counting down 5 4 3 2 1, I'm going to get up now. So get up so that you're not staying in that state. And also helping others who have lost too actually helps you to heal. It helps you to talk about it. There are people that can relate to you, and also your experience can probably help somebody else. So I know it's always a good feeling when you're giving, and somebody is actually open to receiving, and they're actually appreciative of your support. It's always a great feeling. So just reaching out to help others. Yeah, but listening to music, not depressing music. I remember I was feeling fine, and then I went on to some DJ's live, and he was playing straight R&B, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I can't with this right now. So popping some headphones in, listening to some motivating, inspiring music, some worship music, like getting it going, get your feet going. Like, shout out again to DJ Awab's, like just getting you in the mood, just uplifting your spirits. Music does that. The power of music, man. So yeah, so that's what so next week I will talk more about grief, just a little bit, but just again, just remembering, especially in this time, that community is especially important, even if it's social distancing. Calling your friends, your family to check on them, and just saying a prayer. So you can sign off now. Make sure you tune in next week, but I'm going to say a prayer because I feel like it. And today I definitely asked, I asked my principal if I could have a prayer group of families, because I found out that we are expected to teach during spring break, and I'm like, that's Holy Week, and I kind of just wanted to like be off the radar, but we need prayer right now. So I don't mind praying with families, because I know, like, I'm not going to force it on them, but so next week I will talk more about grief, just a little bit, but just again, just remembering, especially in this time, that community is especially important, even if it's social distancing. Calling your friends, your family to check on them, and just saying a prayer. So you can sign off now. Make sure you tune in next week, but I'm going to say a prayer because I feel like it. And today I definitely asked, I asked my principal if I could have a prayer group of families, because I found out that we are expected to teach during spring break, and I'm like, that's Holy Week, and I kind of just wanted to like be off the radar, but we need prayer right now. So I don't mind praying with families, because I know, like, I'm not going to force it on them, but if a family wants to come into my Zoom meeting and we have a prayer and we just, have a space, like just to do that, why not? But she said it has to be student led, so whatever. It was a suggestion. But anyway, I'm gonna pray out today. Lord, I just want to thank you today for allowing me this platform to share with people. I also want to thank you for gifting us with a new addition to our family. Thank you for allowing my sister a safe delivery and a healthy baby boy. Lord, today I just ask for your guidance in the midst of this pandemic. I ask that you protect and shelter, especially the people who are essential workers, who are working hard and diligently every day. Lord, just protect them, provide them with good health and all the resources that they need. And I ask that these politicians who are politicians, and they just remember that we are all human and that this is not the time to play politics. And that, Lord, just give them the right of mind and guide them in the right direction as to providing different communities with the proper resources to protect the essential workers and those who are sick, Lord, for the families of those who are dealing with affected by this. Now, I just pray that you give them the strength, Lord, and the faith to get through this, Lord. We know that you are here and always near us, and that you are going to get us through this. And I pray that people are focused on the positive and seeing the good in this situation, because it is so difficult, and that people are available to one another and building a community, a stronger community of support and love at this time, and figuring out ways to be of service to one another, Lord, because I know that this is what we need to do. Lord, I also pray for those who have lost and who are grieving in this season, Lord, that you give them the strength and that you give them the understanding or comfort that they need to get through this, Lord. And I pray for those who are listening to my podcast that they take something from this episode and that they are able to share with others and to encourage others and to show their love and their light within their own community. Lord, I just thank you for all things, because all things are great through you. Amen.